The engineer is known to be someone to whom reason and logic outshines most other virtues. What then, when the problem has no logical solution? When the problem is inclusivity in a community that can be impacted by the engineer, but cannot be mathematically modeled. The engineer must do what is always done: solve the problem, develop new skills in order to tackle and overcome this obstacle. In South Africa, there is a large percentage of people who are excluded from towns and cities. These people are not able to communicate with people who have the capacity for change, the capacity to make their voices heard.
One of the primary qualities of people is that they are able to work together to solve complicated problems. However, if people are unable to come to a decisive conclusion on the problems that require solving, cooperation is impossible. Entire communities of people can thus be excluded from the problem-solving process due to a lack of communication. This has the greatest effect on the communities where the individual members do not have the means of solving complicated problems on their own. Thus, they will be the most important target for change.
In class, we discussed how NGOs help educate less privileged people to build, maintain and install solar units in their villages, and how eye tests and glasses could be produced for only $1. In both these communities, there was a major problem that had to be rectified. In our group, we considered how much easier it would be for communities to solve problems if the problems were communicated to the right people. Only once the major problems in the community were identified by an NGO could the problem be solved, as they were prepared to contribute the necessary resources to alleviate the problem. The people in the communities were willing to do the work to eliminate the problem once they had the necessary resources. The communities would benefit to a great degree if they could identify the main problems in the community and thereafter concisely communicate these problems to a spokesperson. It can thus be extrapolated from these cases that progress could take place in communities at a much faster rate if the members of the community have a method of communicating issues in the communities to leadership and authority figures in a more concise manner.
The main problem regarding communication in underprivileged communities is that the individuals in the community have no means of communicating problems in the community to the people with the capacity to solve them. The solution the group is proposing is the establishment of a communication hierarchy within the community. In this hierarchy, small groups of individuals, typically neighbors, will be in direct contact with a selected representative of the group, who will then communicate the group's queries and problems to a leadership figure in some form of forum. This leader will then be able to communicate the most critical issues of the community to some municipal official, who will then be able to allocate resources towards solving the problems in the community. The benefits of this solution are, firstly, that only a few members of the community require internet connection, as only the group representatives will need to communicate on the forums, and secondly, that there is a structured flow of communication directed towards municipality officials instead of a cluster of individuals voicing their own individual intermediate problems.
As engineering students, we aren't taught how to solve a fixed set of problems with a fixed set of solutions. We are taught how to identify a problem and then develop a solution for that problem wherever it may be. Having said this, there are various ways in which we as engineering students can aid in the solutions previously mentioned. We can develop or aid in developing the app or website that the representatives will use as a line of communication, or even develop the infrastructure necessary to facilitate the use of the communication service in remote areas. As with any solution, there is always room for improvement. We can assess the efficiency of our solution and fine-tune it when necessary. We can formulate protocols and solutions for possible malfunctions, and in this way work towards a flawless solution.
Therefore, as a group, it was decided that the most important aspect of making a town or city inclusive is communication. Communication between the smallest to the most influential person in the community is important for a general solution to aid and involve every single individual in the community to be developed. Thus, mainly through communication can an engineer apply problem-solving solutions with a clear idea of the problem for an effective solution to be put in place. With knowledge obtained during our degree and extending further with experience, we as engineers are made for creating solutions unique to every obstacle. As a whole,